So this is gonna be a plant video. So since this is a plant video, you better like it and subscribe if you haven't yet. I would really appreciate that. Basically in this video I'm gonna show you how I got my fern to survive and thrive actually. Several months ago it looked like this. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And now it looks like this. Look, oh my god. I never take it off the shelf, but now that I have it in my hands, this is ginormous. Like, I know it was huge, but... So this is the fern. I'm gonna try to put it somewhere. You can see the backside that's not so full because I actually haven't rotated it since I placed it on the shelf where it is now standing. So what did I do to save my fern and get it to the absolutely gorgeous beauty that it is now? Well, first of all, from this picture, you can probably tell that it is extremely outgrown its pot. It has aerial roots that are intertwined with its normal roots, which are absolutely climbing out of the bottom of the pot. And since the roots were so at the bottom and they were also intertwined with each other at the bottom, when it was being watered, they would sit in water for a long time. And this is obviously not great for them, and they weren't just sitting in water because the soil that had come out of the pot as well was in the roots. So you can see the bottom of it is actually black, or well, brown or whatever. It's just covered really into soil. They're not actually rotten, thank god. But this is something that could have happened if I didn't actually decide to check what was going on. So the first thing that I did was trying to free the fern from its plastic pot. I did this by very slowly and with a lot of patience and care, trying to untangle as much of the roots as possible, but they were super intertwined and grown into each other that I just had to cut them apart. And also because the bottom ones were super intertwined and I wanted to prevent as much damage to the roots as possible, I decided to cut open the plastic pot that it was in. So once I removed it from the plastic pot that it had absolutely outgrown, I put it into a terracotta pot. I will take it out of because it's in a terracotta pot and in a cover pot, so I'll actually take it out. It's throwing out a lot of aerial roots, so it actually might be time to repot it again. Like, I think it has a small root coming out from the bottom, so soon this thing is going to outgrow this pot as well. But yeah, I have put it into this terracotta pot for two reasons. First of all, it's because the only pot that I had available in the size at my house at the time, it was the right size fitting pot. And also a terracotta pot, I knew that it would help it manage the water consumption a little bit better. Ferns do like to stay moist and they like humidity and things, but I just thought that the terracotta pot would be great for it, and it has done really well in this because first of all, it has enough space, and second of all, it can manage its water better as well. So the terracotta pots, they kind of absorb moisture from the soil as well, and it helps it not stay wet for long. I kind of just want to hold it. It's kind of heavy, but I kind of just want to like sit here and hold this the entire video. It's kind of fun like to actually see myself with it. I can't stop staring at it. It's so pretty. So actually this inside pot has accumulated quite some water, so I'll have to get that out. Okay, I'm just gonna put it back, I think, because it's heavy. There, it's totally like obstructing me, but you know, this is the star of the show. So another thing I did to make the fern thrive was put a small humidifier next to it, and it's this very tiny one. It's super cheap on Amazon. It's about like 15 euros, I believe, and it holds half a liter of water. And I don't have it running all the time every day. I just turn it on maybe every couple of days. I think at the start it was kind of every day when I noticed the tank was empty, but right now I only refill it maybe like once a week and then let it diffuse all the water that it has in the tank, and then I kind of forget about it because this thing is doing so well. And that little boost of humidity is just worked wonders for it. And as I said before, ferns do like moist and humid climate, so if you have a humidifier next to it, it's gonna love it absolutely. Of course, you can also, if you don't want to buy a humidifier, even though they're super cheap, you could spray it if you like that. I know spraying plants can be super fun, it's a nice little activity. but right now I don't have time to spray all my plants. I have too many to do that, so I have humidifiers. But yeah, that can be also something that you can do. You can mist your fern every once in a while to raise the humidity around it. Keep in mind, misting your plants, it's not a long-term solution for humidity, because when you mist your plants, yes, it raises the humidity, but it does so for kind of a short while. The water in the air, it disperses and it's kind of back to its normal humidity, but your plants will definitely appreciate that over nothing. As for light, I didn't move it from its original spot, which was on a shelf next to our balcony, which is like a floor-to-ceiling window. I think it's south-facing, so it gets sun. I think it's direct sun in the very morning when the sun is rising, but then for the rest of the day, it's basically in shade. So it's not dark where it sits, but it is kind of a shadier spot. And ferns, normally, I mean, of course there are exceptions, you can get them used to sun, but they will like being in partial shade or even full shade, and they will do fine. So when it comes to watering the fern, I kind of just let it be and basically let the soil dry out almost completely. Normally you would want to keep the soil a little bit moist. I didn't really care too much for this plant, as in like I didn't provide super intensive care all the time. I wasn't checking the soil every day to see the moisture levels, so I usually only watered it when it like really needed it, but I definitely did not let it get to a point where it was affecting the leaves and they were drying out, because if you let it dry out for too long, they will let you know, and in a way where they probably won't recover, because that part will just dry out. I have a couple of, you can see here, this is at the very back, a couple of leaves that are just dried out, and yeah, they're not getting enough water, they're gonna just do this to all of their leaves. I mean, obviously that will happen no matter what you do. Some leaves will crisp up and they will let them go, and you just need to cut them off and they will throw out new branches or leaves. I don't know what to call them. I think they're, I don't know, if I find the actual word for what one of these things is, or if someone knows in the comments down below, tell me. I will call these leaves. But this one has been throwing out new ones like crazy recently, and it's also gotten really, really, really long. And you can see that from the first picture. It's the only picture I actually took before I repotted it and replanted it and took care of it and whatever. And you can tell it only has a couple of these leaves, and now it has, wow, like a lot. This is a lot of plant. So for watering, I don't have an actual schedule for watering any of my plants. So for example, when I sold a couple of my plants on Facebook, someone asked me, oh, so how do you care for it? How often do you water it? And I had to tell them that it depends, because that will depend on every plant, on the season, on how much light it's getting, on how much sun it's getting, and all of that. So basically it will depend on what your plant prefers and how fast the soil dries out. Because in the summer you are going to be watering your ferns, especially your ferns, a lot more than in the winter, because they like to be kind of moist, and in the summer when it's warmer and they get more sun, the water dries out faster in the soil, so you need to water them more. Like I said, I usually wait for this to kind of mostly dry out, but for ferns you can actually water them while they're still a little bit moist. Just make sure that they are not constantly wet, because this will cause root rot in any plant, even moisture-loving plants. Let them dry out a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely dry, your soil. Just make sure that it's not wet when you're watering it constantly. And if you are prone to overwatering some plants and carrying your plants to death, plant them in a terracotta pot. This will help them manage the water as well a little bit better, because the pot will absorb some of that moisture as well from the soil. To check the soil moisture, you can do this two ways. You can just stick your finger in there, and if the top couple of inches are dry, that's usually fine to water for most plants. Or you can get something called a moisture meter. Okay, I don't know where my moisture meter is. I was just checking the moisture of one of my plants, so it's not like it's disappeared forever, but I can't find it right now. I'm not bothered to search through everything. But basically, I will put a picture up here of what mine looks like and the specific model that I have. You will see this if you watch other people's channels about plants. They will usually recommend this type of moisture meter, and they will have probably the same model as I do. Mine actually has moisture, light, and pH, so you can switch the settings and see different things. I only really use it for the moisture meter. I don't use it for the pH, definitely not, and every sometimes light, but I don't really judge the light levels from that specific meter because it has to hit the light in a certain way for it to recognize it and stuff. So you can get one that's actually just a moisture meter, but I have a 3-in-1. And how it works is essentially you stick it into soil to where the end is at the root level, so I stick it basically down into the pot at least halfway, or basically down to the bottom of the pot, and then see where the meter is pointing. If it's at wet, I absolutely do not touch it. If it's moist, I usually don't water it until it's actually at dry, into the red area of the moisture meter, just to make sure that the soil has dried out before I water. I don't use the moisture meter on all my plants all the time, but especially if you have something in a larger pot where the bottom of the soil is probably at a different moisture level than the topsoil, it can be useful to have a moisture meter because they're super cheap to get. Like, I'm pretty sure you can get one for like €5 off Amazon. In regards to propagation, I have no idea about this plant, honestly. The best way to propagate it would be through root division. I don't know if you can do it through leaf propagation. Like, I don't know if I would cut off one of these and stick it into water, if it will grow roots. I should probably Google that, but I don't know. I have no idea. I've never tried to propagate a fern before. So yeah, that's this guy. It's super beautiful. I need to do a little bit of maintenance on it because, well, first of all, I wanted to turn it around to where it was normally sitting because it sits like this and cascades down the side of our shelf and it looks really amazing, but the backside is kind of, it's not bare, it's just, this is not what's getting light and stuff and it doesn't really have space. So I'm gonna rotate it a little bit so it fills out the back as well, even though this is a really, really full plant. And I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very, very glad that I decided to check what's up with it and I could save it and even let it thrive. So yeah, I hope that was useful for some of you. I will probably do some more care videos in the future. I have one planned, I believe, about my peace lily up there, because a lot of people for some reason struggle with peace lilies, even though I think they're super, super easy plants. Or if you have any specific other plants that you would like to know more about the care for, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, that's it. That's the video.